start the session now. A few bookkeeping details, because we are already 1 hour, more than 1 hour behind schedule. I'd like to ask speakers to have the talk at most 3 minutes, okay, such that we save a bit of time because there is one more panel after this session. So we're gonna start today. I'm gonna open. So here we have the presentations. I'm gonna click and open each presentation, and then present each speaker, and then each speaker will come in the podium and present. So we're gonna start with the first presentation. The title of the presentation is building upon, So building upon Article 95 of the AI Act to enhance gender equality, and the presenters are Maria Sideri and Stefanos Gritsalis.
Okay. It's a little bit difficult after lunch, but okay, I'm the first to present. Hello, I'm Maria Sideri from the University of the Aegean, and along with my colleague Stefanos Gritsalis from the University of Piraeus, we present today the topic building upon Article 95 of the Artificial Intelligence Act to enhance gender equality. We all agree that AI systems proliferate gender stereotypes and produce biases and discrimination against women, but we also all acknowledge the need to commit to to commit to human rights-based guidelines and to the implementation of gender-responsive ethical frameworks. In this frame, Artificial Intelligence Act constitutes a milestone for the regulation of AI within in the European Union, and it recalls several times the Charter for Fundamental Rights. But in our opinion, it rather fails to explicitly or extensively address the gender equality issues. In this frame, Article 95 of the Artificial Intelligence Act, referring to codes of conduct for voluntary application in other high-risk systems, can be used by member states to implement codes of conduct for other than high-risk systems that also reproduce gender stereotypes and discrimination against women. In this frame, my glasses. Okay. In this frame, Article 10 can be used to safeguard appropriate, unbiased, and inclusive datasets. Datasets quality defines datasets system, it defines AI systems outputs. Whereas representative data, including a wide range of gender identities linked to other social characteristics such as age, ethnicity, or any form of disability, help to portray the real world accurately and reduce the risk of perpetuating gender stereotypes. Datasets with historical skewed or limited data, often used in AI systems, produce negative impacts. In this frame, we propose that governments should take the appropriate legal measures to obligate deployers and providers of AI systems to use inclusive, free of biases, and sex disaggregated datasets in other than high-risk systems, and to prove this use. Article 95 can be used by governments to prompt AI industry to form inclusive and diverse teams, which will prioritize the use of datasets that represent multiple identities, that will more easily locate gender bias and stereotypes, and that will bring a variety of views, perspectives, and background experience that a homogeneous group might ignore or overlook. In this frame, governments may enact affirmative measures such as gender quotas already used in the frame of politics to enhance women's participation, while also call AI companies to officially implement strategies such as targeted recruitment and diversity metrics. Finally, in the frame of Article 95 and Article 9 of the Artificial Intelligence Act, these articles provide a legal basis for deployers training on gender issues, which fosters a human-centric approach and aligns technological advancement with justice and ethics. Knowledge and awareness increase will definitely contribute to the progressive formation of a new gender-friendly organizational culture. In this frame, national law should prompt the AI sector to provide and support continuous training. In other words, what we propose is that the Artificial Intelligence Act focuses mostly on high-risk AI systems, and the measures for all other systems are rather voluntary. So we propose that EU member states governments should pay attention to Article 95 to enhance gender equality in AI industry, reconciliating thus the goal for gender equality with the goal for a human-centric AI. That's it. Thank you. And it's more than 3 minutes. I know. Questions? No questions. No question. Thank you.
So the next presentation, holographic telepresence in immersive cognitive training from Christina Chrysantopoulou.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Christina Chrysantopoulou. I'm a doctoral candidate at the Aristotle University Thessaloniki and an XR designer at Gruppo Maggioli. And I'm here with my colleagues, Olga Hatzifolk and Stamatis Koulimenos, to present you this ongoing project of Gruppo Maggioli, which is study on holographic telepresence for cognitive training. So we have this platform which is basically a 2D games platform for cognitive training for people at the early stage of dementia and Alzheimer's, and for the prevention of these diseases. And we have been developing the XR counterpart of this platform. So where games, the 2D games, become virtual reality, become augmented reality, etc., to add like a physical exercise to their other aspects, and also the spatial orientation features that are very much required from this target group. This is for the application part. The other part is that actually regards the holographic telepresence is the fact that these people are being monitored by the health professionals at centers such as Alzheimer Athens. So there is an emerging need to have, apart from the physical, like in-person sessions with their health professionals and the guidance and support that they have there, to the same thing when they do remote sessions, like when they play alone at home or when they cannot attend the center, etc. So this ongoing project adds to the XR platform of Elegance the holographic telepresence of the health professional with 2 modes, basically. One, the consultation mode, which is just a relaxing 3D space where the health professional is holographically telepresent, and the other one where the health professional aids the beneficiary when they are actually playing the games. So in order to assess whether this is impactful or not, we will be conducting with the aid of the Alzheimer's Association an experiment with 2 study groups, one using the holographic telepresence we're talking about now, and the other one with classical, let's say, video calls. So as to determine whether the holographic telepresence actually aids the beneficiaries, if it offers a concrete, let's say, moral support and guidance to them, if they feel less isolated, because let's not forget that when it comes to VR, even if it's about games, you know, the sense of isolation for this group of people might be emergent. So this is the concept of the experiment. And lastly, the architecture of the system is basically a custom software solution where you have the computer with a depth camera streaming the health professional and the VR system of the beneficiary, who is able to see the health professional in their headset. And at the same time, the health professional has the exact same point of view inside the games. Let's say that's playing a co-op game and one sees through the eyes of the other, so that they can actually and practically aid them with the sessions, with their games. And well, that's it. Thank you. Also, you can play one of our games in the poster room afterwards if anyone's interested. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the third presentation, the title is Research Challenges in Quantum Entanglement Distribution for Enabling Quantum Applications. And the authors are Philippos Archodovasilis, Petros Philos, who's going to give the presentation, and myself. So, Petro.
Hello, everyone. Our team covers all educational levels. Philippos is a high school student. Me, I am a master student. Mr. Kutsopoulos is a professor at Apple. And our idea was to study about the quantum entanglement distribution process, which is part of the field of quantum networking. And quantum networking it is considered as something that is very interesting because enables various disruptive applications, the implementation of various disruptive applications. And these applications leverages properties from the field of quantum mechanics. And also one main process that we study, it is the process of quantum distribution. And two of these disruptive applications are the quantum key distribution, which is about the secure key sharing through the operation of security protocols. And not only keys, we can have parameters or other type of parameters or arguments that are necessary. And also we have distributed quantum computing, and with this term we mean patterns that we follow in order to distribute high computational demands across many quantum now devices. And also we can say that now quantum networking is still in its infancy, so we face many problems and difficulties. And one main difficulty is the decoherence. And with decoherence, we mean that we lose our properties over time. And for example, we lose the property of superposition, and with superposition, we mean that quantum bits of information can be also can be in also in mixed states, and not only in the ground state, which is 0, and in the excited state, which is 1, like in classical computing, as we know. And in order to address these difficulties, we use some metrics. One common metric is the fidelity metric, which is about the quality of entanglements. And when we say entanglements, we mean entangled pair of particles, typically photons. And we say entangled because if we do a measure on the one particle, then we can instantly determine the other one. And We have also two main sub-processes in one distribution process. The first one is the entanglement purification, which is about we choose this process when we say to increase the fidelity of our entanglements. And the second one is the entanglement swapping. We choose this process when we want to extend our entanglements over greater distances. And as I said, because one distribution process is still in its infancy, we have some challenges to explore and study. One of them is when we should apply the purification or the swapping process. During the routing, what routes should we choose? Utility function, what parameters we should include in our computations. We also have to deal with stochasticity limited resources. One other difficulty is to bring the model from the real world closer to quantum reality. And of course, to reach a point where we can operate disruptive applications like probability distribution, distributed quantum computing effectively. Thank you.
Okay, so the fourth presentation, how can AI revolutionize cloud forensics by Stavros Andropoulos-Dertsiotis and Ioanna Kantsavellou.
Hello there.
Please.
My name is Stavros Dertsiotis. I'm a PhD candidate at West Attica University. Today I'm here to present your work with the title How AI, Artificial Intelligence, Can Revolutionary Cloud Forensics, co-authored by Ioanna Kantsavellou. Well, in a few words, what is forensics? What is digital forensics? Forensics is a science that tries to tell who did it, what did it in a security incident. Really brief. What is cloud forensics? The same things in the cloud. So there's some distinct characteristics that cloud has that make this process a little bit difficult. For example, multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy is a really nice, how can I say, pro that cloud has, but it severely affects forensics. Multi-tenancy is a special characteristic that cloud has to serve multiple clients at the same time. Although that means that in a cloud forensic investigation, the system cannot go offline because it will affect other clients as well. Another characteristic is data volatile nature, which means that data, we can ensure that data will be there forever in the cloud. That can happen due to many reasons, due to many factors actually. For example, providers' data retention policy. A cloud provider, might choose to keep the data for a day, for a week, for a year. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that the data might not be there by the time the investigation starts. So our proposed methodology is trying to combine several artificial intelligence technologies to address these challenges, among others. And also, it tries to act proactively prior a security incident occurs. So we have 5 layers, very brief. Layer 1, it's anomaly detection. We propose the deployment of several clients in system critical places like servers. These clients are collecting logs, events, and they are feeding them into LSTM autoencoder to try to detect anomaly. If an anomaly is detected, then system switches to layer 2. By that time, all that data that is collected are supposed to be potential evidence. So we have to ensure integrity. That's why at layer 2, we propose to store the data on a private blockchain. Then a copy of the original data is made for the rest of the process of the digital forensic, the cloud forensics process. At layer 3, we have some data preprocess, which means data normalization, encoding data into a time series format, which actually prepares the data for the next stage, layer 4, which is multi-class machine learning classification. That classifier is trying to categorize events into security events into some categories, such as malware, insider threat, brute force, or nothing can be. And then the system goes to layer 5, which is actually the investigator interface, where this user interface gives the investigator all the necessary tools to do link analysis, to correlate events, etc. Also, at that stage, we propose the use of an LLM, large language model report for report generation. Our key points, our major key points, is that the system acts proactively. We don't wait for the incidents to come. We already collect the data before the incident happened, so we're ready to efficient do the analysis. Then, by reducing the data volume, that results in faster analysis, also minimize error rates. Although we are still early on our research, we have some major considerations, which is, of course, the system performance. All these must not affect overall system performance. And the most important is that we need providers' acceptance and, of course, clients or customer knowledge to achieve all this. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is. Yes.
So the next talk is relevant theme, digital forensics challenges for the Wi-Fi protocol stack. The presenters are Ioannis Desfotopoulos and Ioanna Katsavelou.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ioannis Desfotopoulos. I come from the University of West Edinburgh, and I have co-authored this work with Associate Professor Ioanna Katsavelou. This work is about presenting some digital forensic challenges for the Wi-Fi protocol stack. In particular, there are some shortcomings and necessities of Wi-Fi forensics, which prove now to be even more relevant in the sense that Wi-Fi is an expanding global technology, and so that accurate digital forensics are necessary more than ever now. There are some problems regarding the structural gaps of Wi-Fi forensics, and basically not of Wi-Fi forensics, of the Wi-Fi protocol stack itself, and also there is some spatial and temporal liquidity of the Wi-Fi protocol and its protocol stack, which make digital forensics more difficult. In general, we should emphasize that attacks are increasing even more rapidly are advancing more rapidly, than defensive mechanisms, and that is a general issue. And so, for this purpose, you can utilize or create even a custom wireless intrusion detection system, a WIDS. This is how it's called, for detection and analysis of Wi-Fi attacks. Here we can see that Wi-Fi forensics can be also a standalone field, which is complementary to, of course, incident response and IR capabilities, but it's not restricted to it. It exists as a standalone field. Now, there are some open challenges and some discussions regarding this theme. So we have some privacy compliance necessities for Wi-Fi forensics, in particular to be compliant with GDPR, because the privacy of stakeholders can be easily overlooked. Also, we have to take into account the forensics validity of the Wi-Fi forensics artifacts, because each attacker can send a spoofed packet which cannot be detected back to who is the original attacker, and the attack attribution cannot proceed necessarily so easy as before. And another issue with Wi-Fi is the accurate location tracking and the attribution of an attack signal to a specified person or individual. And for a future work, we would like to investigate more zero-day attacks and zero-day defenses, enhanced, as said before, by artificial intelligence, machine learning, and some forensics pipelines. And to explain this scene that you see on the screen, the IDS used as a basis enzyme, and the purpose is to combine it with Grafana. Grafana is a platform that can be used if needed as a CM or SOAM platform, yes. And this is the whole pipeline, forensic pipeline, which is outlined in this graph. Okay, thank you very much. You can ask me on the posters for anything.
Next presentation title is Analysis of Text to SQL Benchmarks, Limitations, Challenges, and Opportunities by Anna Mitsopoulou and Georgia Poutrika.
So hello, my name is Anna Mitsopoulou, and I'm going to briefly present you the work that I have done with my professor, Georgia Poutrika, named Analysis of Text-to-SQL Benchmarks, Limitations, Challenges, and Opportunities. So to start with, text-to-SQL is the task of translating a natural language question of a database to the corresponding SQL query. There are multiple text-to-SQL systems created, especially in the last few years, so the question is how good these systems are. We believe that in order to answer this question, we must focus on the datasets used in their evaluation. So for that reason, we defined a set of axes regarding the SQL queries, the natural language questions, and the databases contained in these datasets that combined can describe in-depth text-to-SQL dataset. Having defined those axes, we conducted an analysis over several text-to-SQL benchmarks that revealed several findings. The main ones were that the datasets contain, in their majority, simple queries over toy databases, and are highly imbalanced. All these limitations can lead to biased evaluations that are not representative of real use case scenarios. Additionally, to observe how our analysis can help also in explaining in the evaluation process of these systems, we conducted an experiment with several simple text-to-SQL systems over multiple datasets, and so that our analysis can help pinpointing the possible systems limitations. So to conclude, we showed how important it is to have a detailed analysis of the datasets, not only to understand what are the capabilities that we are testing in the text-to-SQL models, but also to accelerate the process of identifying errors and solve them. Thank you.
And the next presentation, ranking joint strategies in stochastic dynamic games using Alpha Rank by Natalia Poliou and George Bouros.
Hi everyone, I am Natalia, and this is a work that was accepted in the international conference AMS 2025, and I'm very proud to present it today to you. So the basic idea is that we want to find stable joint strategies in stochastic dynamic games. Why is this important? What is the motivation behind this work? We know that in complex settings like stochastic dynamic games, finding Nash equilibria is quite challenging, and even if we can detect those equilibria, we are not sure that this leads to stable strategies that have that guarantee good performance for both players. So we propose a methodology that involves 4 steps. First, we define styles of play from this game. These styles of play are basically ways that the agents respond to the game. Then we realize those strategies using DQNs and certain functions, reward functions that shape those players into acting like those styles of play. Then we define the empirical payoff matrix through performance in many simulations. Like we run the game multiple times and we get the payoffs. And then we apply an exclusionary methodology called A-rank, which basically gives us a ranking over those joint strategies and helps us identify which are best performing in the long run. We applied this methodology in a stochastic version of the graph coloring problem. As you might know, in this game you have to color a grid and neighboring blocks have to be in different color. From the results that we got, we see that the Nash equilibria that we could define from this game is not the same as the stable joint strategies that our methodology provided. And it made sense because in the long run, we knew that the strategies that we got were the good ones. So yeah, and based on that graph, you can see, for example, that the dark blue nodes are the ones that we got from as an output of the A rank. And basically, this is what we have done. Thank you so much. And
the next paper is entitled Agent-Assisted Traffic Policy Adaptation via Digital Twins, authored by Hannah Yair, Shlomi Dolev, Ehud Gunes, and Ilya Kaufman. And please.
Thank you very much. My name is Hannah Yair. I'm coming from Ben-Gurion University of the Negev in Israel. Our project is about smart traffic management. So we have the system designed by digital twins and simulation by Sumo Simulator. And so the result of the system is to reduce the congestion in the roads, and it's working. It's combining also the digital twins and AI together to get the perfect route and the perfect policies dynamically in the road. And we also developed an optimal scheduling algorithms from source to destination that's working with the Dijkstra algorithm that we did an adjustment. And that's it basically. Thank you very much.
And the next paper is Human and AI Generated Website Content, a comparative approach using both web analytics and visitors surveys, authored by Ioannis Drivas and Chrysula Angeli.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chrysula Angeli, and I'm an undergraduate student at the Department of Archival, Library and Information Studies at the University of West Attica. Under the guidance of my supervisor, Ioannis Drivas, I'm here to present our research, Human versus AI-generated website content, and comparative study using both web analytics and visitor surveys. In an era of growing resilience on large language models for digital content creation, our work addresses a fundamental question. Can AI-generated content truly match or even exceed the quality, accuracy, and user engagement of content created by humans? To investigate this, we actually developed a multi-labeled methodology. We created two parallel websites using Greek glossaries of library science terms. One site features content written by me based on information gathered from various academic foreign websites. The other contains content generated by AI tools such as ChatGPT and Gemini AI. Our analysis is comprehensive and it includes these steps. First, we did a technical approach using tools like TechBot,
PageSpeed Insights, and the Screaming Frog, to evaluate each site's technical performance, including the accessibility, the search engine optimization, and the security. Secondly, we used web analytics to track user engagement metrics such as session duration, bounce rate, and navigation patterns with the Google Analytics plugin tool. Lastly, we gathered direct feedback from information science students through surveys. We used the system's usability scale and the webquick questionnaire to measure clarity, likability, informativeness, and credibility. To ensure the study was unbiased, participants were actually not informed which website was AI generated before or even after the survey was completed. While we are still finalizing the results, we have some preliminary findings, as you can see, that indicate that both websites actually perform well and share similar values. However, after examining the initial survey responses, we see that the human-generated content is actually more engaging, educational, and has more quality, and it has also more credibility. In contrast, the AI-generated website appears to be stronger from a technical approach. This highlights our core message. The future is not about choosing one over the other. The significance of the study is to establish evidence-based best practices for integrating AI. Our aim is to provide insights that help organizations balance the efficiency of automation without losing the touch of human creativity and accuracy. Thank you, everyone. You can actually check the surveys and the links by scanning the QR codes. Thank you. Thank you.
Now the next paper, concurrent binary search trees supporting split and join, by Nikolos Grigoroudis, Panagiotta Faltourou, and Eric Rupert.
Greetings, my name is Nikolas Grigoroudis. I'm from the Department of Computer Science at the University of Crete and the Institute of Computer Science at Forth. And I'm here to present you our work on binary search trees that support concurrent, split, and join operations. So why are such trees that use those operations that important? Well, they're a fundamental building block in order to design more complex data structures that belong in the category of dynamic trees. So you have a tree and you want to maintain it under split and under edge insertions and deletions, while also answering queries efficiently. Such data structures are like Euler-2 trees or Likert trees, and in turn, they can be used in order to solve the more general problem of dynamic graphs, where we have a graph, and once again, you want to maintain it under edge insertions and deletions, while also answering queries as efficiently as possible. In this poster, we only present how the split algorithm works, and the reason why it's so important is because if you want to move the problem of dynamic graphs in a concurrent setting, it would be an essential first step to introduce a concurrent data structure that supports split and join, and it's a binary search tree. So how the split algorithm works, what it does, it gets a binary search tree, it gets a key, and it splits it apart into two. One has keys that are less than the input, and one has keys that are greater or equal to the input. So the in the serial model, the algorithm would work in a bottom-up manner, and it would decide which keys or nodes to include in those two trees based on the direction that the split would follow as it goes up. And on the concurrent model, we propose a log-based solution where the split uses a very similar algorithm as the one in the serial model, but it does two additional things. One is it logs the full path as the split operates up the tree to ensure synchronization. And the second is to use a scheme where if two split operations meet at a certain node, then we can say that they can combine, and only one of them needs to continue in order to complete both operations. And that's why we argue that our design is very efficient. So if you're interested in concurrent data structures that support complex operations, then you can find me and talk to me later. Thank you for your attention.
And now we go to the last talk of this session. Concurrent double-ended priority queues by Panagiotta Fantourou, Eric Rupert, and Ioannis Xiradakis.
Hello everyone, my name is Ioannis Xiradakis, and I am presenting FRX, the first algorithm to implement the concurrent double-ended priority queue. Double-ended priority queues are priority queues that supports both delete min and delete max operations and are used in job scheduling and real-time application and real-time systems because they need to delete both the smallest and the largest element. Existing concurrent implementation are based on BSTs that needs extra work to keep them safe. FRX uses two skip lists, one that stores the element in ascending order to help the delete min operation, and the other one that stores in descending order to help the delete match operation. Both lists share the same nodes. Each node contains pointers to other nodes and a flag that represents if the node is deleted. By this way, we can add and remove an element inside the double-ended priority queue without needing an extra balance for the structure. To help threads to work together, we use a mechanism called the CSync. CSync essentially for binary, which is one thread and implements not only its own actions but the actions of other threads. We are having two instances of CSync, one for the delete min operation and the other one for the delete match operation. When we want to delete the same node from the structure, we use the shared flag that represents if the node is deleted. The first one that wants to delete the node marks set this flag, and the second that wants to delete the node check if the flag is deleted, and if it finds it marked, then it moves to the next element. Our experiment shows that FRX is much faster than BST-based concurrent double-ended priority queues. This is because we avoid restructuring and the node, and we have better coordination by using the CSync algorithm. Also, in some cases, FRX works even better than single-ended priority queues. Overall, FRX provides an efficient way to implement a concurrent double-ended priority queue.
So thank you very much, and this concludes the session. Thank you to all authors and all presenters that delivered talks in different themes and areas, all central to computing. So I guess now this concludes the session. We can move to the next session, right? Thank you.
So we are moving to the next session. It's a panel, opportunities and challenges for women in computing, and we have we're very honored to have a lot of
women in different places who have been successful. And this session is going to find out through their talks how difficult it has been, how challenging, and whether we have opportunities. So let me introduce the panel. We have Professor Eleni Strulia from the University of Alberta, Canada. Please join us. Professor Irene Dulce from the University of Bundeswehr, Munich. We also have Professor Maria Russo from the University of Athens, and also chair of a Greek ACM Women chapter. Professor Maria Halkivi, the co-general chair. And we also have Dr. Eleni Alogogianni, director of e-government, the Independent Authority Labor Inspectorate. And also we have Dr. Messini Pascu, who is a Deputy Branch Director for Data and Information Sharing, Directorate Business Analytics and Data, Hellenic Electricity Distribution Network Operator. So we hope that we have different women from different places. Let me just tell you that at this conference, as we had said at the opening, I had been with Maria Russo and George Tsichridis was not here. We were the delegates from Greece. We had a man as well. And we went to San Francisco, where there was a big cohort of about 700 women from many universities. And three men. And Professor Tsichridis was taken as the boy that would put the lights on.
Because the other two men were support staff.
Yes. So you know, stereotypes can go either way, depending on who is the majority. And so this is a very, I think, we think that this is a very enlightening discussion for women and men, for everybody, for professionals in computing, to have some stories from some successful women. There are not many in the world, believe us, the numbers say that there are very few. For example, in my department, we are 23. Only 3 are women, and this has been for ages like that. It used to be even worse. Might have been me over so many. In the digital systems, they have 24 women. I think
35-5.
35-5. So it's always the 30 what remains. And I was talking to a collaborator in the States, at the University of Ohio. They said 30-1, even worse. So we have here Eleni from from Dimosio, from public sector. We have Eleni from Canada. She started here though. We have Maria from the University of Athens. We have Irene, started here but has a career in Germany. We have Mercedes, who started in Patras, and she's now in DDE. And we also have Maria Halkivi, a former student of mine. Just like Helena. I have two former students of mine, and also Irene, in the general sense, she was in our department, not mine, but but in the general sense, yes. So I will ask then, please tell us if you found any barriers in your careers because you were a woman, or whether you found some opportunities because you were a woman. This is strange. But sometimes women are promoted in some countries, not this country. So some other countries. In some other countries, not this country. Here, believe me, no. Okay, so I'll start with Eleni.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity and for inviting me here in this conference, very interesting conference. I will introduce myself again. I am Eleni Alogogianni. I work at the Hellenic Labour Inspectorate. It is an independent authority of public sector, and I am the Director of Electronic Governance. When I entered in the public sector, and specifically at the Hellenic Labour Inspectorate, I was the only one in the IT sector. So
no many men.
No man, no woman. I was the first one.
100%.
Yes, I was the first one. And this, of course, by itself, this fact by itself created a lot of difficulties because, first of all, there was not any department or sector or division regarding the information technology. So one can say that I started from scratch. I cannot say that I had more difficulties because I was a woman, and if I were a man, it would be more easy. But I can say that in general, people are more skeptical when they see women in higher position in information technology sectors, and when they try to persuade for a change, especially in the public sector. But things went pretty well, I would say, because I started with several projects, because if you don't have systems, then in the public sector, you cannot have any departments or any divisions. And we started creating a situation where we would evolve in this sector. So finally, our authority had some contracts with IT companies, and we created an integrated information system, and we digitalized all our processes. But of course, this took a lot of years. And finally, we created initially a department. Of course, all this needs to go through laws because in the public sector, the authority needs to be defined through an organization which comes through laws. So year after year, things were getting better. Now we are not many. We are in the IT division. We are 7. I am the director, and I think I have worked a lot in order to reach not to the position, but to the state where we have several systems to digitalize our processes and be in the position where we are now. So this is my story. Thank you very much.
So it's not really either women or men would have the same problem here. Okay, so Eleni.
Okay. My short story, I completed my degree in Patras. When we were welcomed by the chair of the department, he informed us that we would be the most desirable grooms in the marriage market. That was a great opportunity for me. It was just eye-opening. Didn't take advantage of this opportunity. I met my later husband at school. We studied together in Georgia Institute of Technology, and then we ended up in Canada, University of Alberta. One of the opportunities back then when, basically I completed my degree in 95, my PhD in 95. The opportunity of being a woman was that you look different in a sea of men. You mentioned when you went to the conference, everybody's a woman, there were 3 men, everybody remembers probably more the 3 men than 1,000 women. So being one of the 3 women in 1,000 of men is probably something that gives you an advantage when you're a graduate student. You know, there was one more memorable, weird accent too, all good. Exactly. I mean, when, yeah, that's really good. It's a good idea. Now, the major challenge that is sort of unavoidable is coordinating life and reproduction with career. This, I don't know, there is no answer. I was just talking with a colleague of mine, a young colleague of mine, who is looking for a job and she's having her 2nd child right now. HR rules in Canada are very progressive and they make explicit note that whatever clock applies to the career processes has to completely stop during any formal leave. So childbearing, maternity leaves completely stop the clock. At the same time, when you go up for promotion and whatever advancement steps you go through, the committees cannot but remember the fact that you started 10 years ago and by now you should have already been in the rank that you applied for. This is illegal, but it is something that everybody has to deal with because basically this is how people think. And I'm not even saying that they're ill-intentioned. The other challenge that we're seeing now is that because of the pressure of actually being seen as progressive, organizations report on their percentages, and it's easy to make up numbers by counting different things. So at the university, we report undergraduates, and if you we're a general university and we have a very big faculty of arts, so our undergraduate population is perfectly balanced. In fact, we're discriminating against men because we may have slightly more women. Now, if you go and slice this data to different schools, different departments, you see that math has around 5% women, and medicine has 60% women, nursing has 80% women. So really this notion of equity and representation has to be very sensitive. And I don't think that 50% is necessarily either achievable or desirable, but it is a fundamental problem in the education of young people as they choose careers. Right now, we're seeing sort of a contra wave. It used to be when I was growing up, it was the future way of thinking was that women should have equal opportunity. Right now, it seems to me that young people are being told that they have to chase their dreams and their talents. Implicit in that gospel is that women should be able to have the opportunity to not work and stay with their families, which is true, they should. But the emphasis on the language change, I think, makes everything a little bit more muddied. And for me, the opportunity to have a job and a career is not a matter of self-advancement, which is part of it. It's also a matter of independence. Everybody should be able to be self-sufficient, to cover their life and support their children should they have any. And this is something that everyone should aspire to. Everybody should have time with their children. That's why parental leaves are available to my young male colleagues, and I see more of them taking advantage of this because young children need both parents. So equality is not about pushing women to do more. It's about making sure that everybody has the same opportunities and everybody's having enough to grow into a self-sufficient adult. Yeah, that's enough.
Thank you very much. Just you mentioned about being pregnant.
I know your story was worse than mine.
My story was I have 3 children, and there was no regulation at the university about what they should do about a woman who was a professor and not administrative staff. So they told me some funny things. One chair of the department told me, that I should go home and give the keys of my office to male colleagues. So I got the impression that I was going to be fired. I was not permanent at that time. I was under the the whole election process for the for getting permanent. And in the end, I didn't take one day of leave. I have had 3 children. I just went to the hospital and gave birth to the children and went back to the university. Not one day of leave. And I think that this was the worst possible that can happen to a woman. And I'm very fortunate that at least my husband was very supportive, who's a colleague, and we met as professors here. I didn't know him before. And also my family, my father and mother were also very supportive. Otherwise, I think it is really, really difficult. So if the numbers here are so low, there may be some kind of reason like this. And now I hope, and I am at the position, at the higher position. One of the ambitions that I had was to make sure that everybody would have a fair, something, justice for what they need, for everybody, for women and men. And this was my ambition. That's why I always sought to be in charge, because I wanted to nobody else to have this experience. So I'll go to Maria Russo.
Well, I'll continue the story about childbirth. I have one son, and I was self-employed. I actually had my own company when I had him, so I didn't have one day. I have a famous photo of me working on a European Commission review evaluation with the laptop and the baby. I was breastfeeding the baby at the same time while I was typing on the laptop. So it's a problem across the board in whatever position you have and in whichever field you have as a woman. It's not just for us in computer science and technology, but in STEM, in every domain. So this is an issue. Now, going back to your initial question about challenges and opportunities and whether being a woman helped us, I must say that I've been fortunate. I have not witnessed explicit discrimination or challenges from top management. I have not worked in the corporate domain at all, but I have worked in non-for-profit private companies in the university and academia, and I have had my own company as well, and I was self-employed. So when I worked for others in academia or in the non-for-profit company or museum that I worked for, top management was very supportive. They did not discriminate. They hired me because of what I had done and not, and spite, yes. But I did face discrimination, even harassment from colleagues at the same level or even lower. And also from clients or even visitors at the museum that I have a story. I was the head of the virtual reality department of the museum. I was heading the technology and the infrastructure as well as the content. So I had a team, and I also trained the museum educators who used the technology, the virtual reality equipment, with the visitors. My office was on the first floor of the building, And I had told the museum educators, who were all women, that if there are any questions that you cannot answer, maybe more technical questions from visitors, feel free to call me and I'll come downstairs and answer. And indeed, one day, there was a father with his daughter's son, and he had some questions about the video that was projected on the screens. It wasn't a video, it was a real-time computer graphics presentation, projection. So the museum educator did not know, and she said, I'll call and you'll get answers. He, as you know, Greek is a gendered language, so he asked, the visitor asked for τον υπεύθυνο, the male head of the department. And the museum educator said, I will call. She did not specify gender. I come downstairs. And the visitor said, yes, I'd like to talk to the responsible, the person who's responsible here, it's the manager, because I have some questions about the video. And I said, well, yes, please tell me what your questions are. I said, no, I want to talk to the responsible person who's responsible about the video. I said, well, first of all, it's not a video, but yes, please ask your question. I explicitly did not say that I am the person you are seeking, until he, continued, and I said, well, it's not a video, it's a, and he understood that I knew what I was talking about, and he kind of stepped back and didn't say anything. These are not very important problems to face, but they are just indicative of the implicit bias that you have at every level. I faced worse than that. I haven't understood having had a position given to me because of being a woman. So I think women work very hard, and if they're fortunate enough, that pays off. Otherwise, they continue working and they persevere, or they don't follow their dreams, because that has happened as well. It depends on the support that you get, your personality, how much you can build your confidence, the role models that you have, because I have definitely, I've had role models, especially when I was a graduate student in the US, and when I had challenges, and I faced challenges later on in my career, I would always think of what my role models would do and what my mentors would do. I think it's very important to have these role models available to them.
Well, thank you very much, and we're going to Irene to tell us whether in Greece or in Germany you have had extra opportunity or challenges because you were a woman.
Thank you, Maria.
It's good to hear that some people do not have not faced any discrimination.
Yes, I can actually relate to many of the things that have been mentioned already, and especially to what Eleni said about, I think we both are graduates of SAID, right? And probably you refer to Professor Tsakalidis, right? Okay.
A little bit older.
Yes. But I think what was interesting about these years as a student, I mean, I was not really aware of these issues, to be honest. Where I think around 30 women and 130 perhaps men, so I don't remember now exactly the statistics, but I think this was the, let's say, the ratio. And I kind of used the opportunities. So my husband actually was one of my, so I'm joking a bit. But I mean, at that time, it was not really, so I kind of accepted the situation and I thought that's normal. So I never questioned, let's say, this imbalance. This imbalance became worse over the years. So in my postdoc, in my
master, for instance, there were less women. In my PhD, I was the only woman with 10 male colleagues. In my postdoc, I was the only woman with the secretary, of course, and so on and so forth, right? So there are less and less women as we go up in the hierarchy, so it's kind of a lonely place. In terms now of difficulties or easiness, I think I don't have a good answer. I think it was neither more difficult nor easier, so I had to put a lot of work, and I had to take some decisions that were very good for my career, for instance. So leaving Greece for Germany with a fellowship, that was not an easy decision, right? It's much nicer here, for instance. But this was very good for my career. So I got a fellowship for my postdoc that was very, very helpful. And then after my postdoc, again, I had to move from Munich to Hanover to get my first professorship. That was a non-tenure professorship, so it was a 5 years professorship. I decided to move my family. At the time, I had my daughter. She was around 4, so that was also not an easy decision. My husband had to move and so on. So it comes with some cost, but I took, let's say, this risk, and I think it helped my career. I think similar to Maria, I haven't faced any direct discrimination. I mean, there were always some incidents which were kind of pointing in this direction. For instance, when I was applying for positions, I got a lot of invitations, and I realized later that, of course, they want to show these quotas in their reports, right? So I was invited not because I was a good fit, but because I was a woman. And then
golden skirt.
Yes.
It's called the golden skirt.
Exactly,
Yes.
the golden skirt. Right? So I was one of these. And this, I think, is unacceptable because, I mean, going to an interview, it costs me a lot of time, a lot of stress, right? So it's not just for the numbers, right? So I think this is something that that should change. I was not qualified for all of these jobs, so honestly, I think it was really because of that. And what changed for me, what was very, very useful for me also, or what changed me, I think, a bit, changed my perspective, was, I think, similar to what you said about role models. And actually, there were a lot of very nice role models all these years. For instance, in Patras, we had Panayota Fatourou, which is part of the ACM women chapter, right? So she was postdoc at that time, and she was really impressive. One of the few, I think we had two female postdocs, so she was one role model. Or Yuli Kudrika, Georgia, right? So I think these were kind of examples that I could look at, and later also more women. And I think talking with more women or kind of sharing these issues is very important, at least for me. So it helps me to feel that I'm not problematic, let's say, that somehow we all have similar issues, and I can relate also to the childcare and birth issues and so on that you mentioned. I was also fortunate to take a mentoring, to attend a mentoring program at LMU. So I was a postdoc at LMU in Munich. And then my mentor, so Professor Biagini, was also a person I could relate to. So I think this was very, also very important. So finding people to relate to, it's very important, at least for me. And I think another issue, another difficulty that I had, and I'm not really sure if this is my difficulty, I think the personality is also important, is that I was trying to fit to the dominant majority, right? Dominant majority is male majority sometimes it's the German majority, right? So, and I think I cannot fit exactly, or I cannot become a man. I cannot become a German. So I think retrospectively and over the years, so as I'm getting older, I think I realized that feeling comfortable is not trying to fit, but trying really to enjoy and naturally kind of fit, so not forcing it. I think this is very important. But I think this requires also some sort of, let's say, security, right? So after I got my tenure, so of course I felt more comfortable, let's say, to express myself and so on so forth. And I think another thing that perhaps I regret, or I mean, there are these comments that they kind of point to this discrimination a bit, but they are very shallow. So for instance, I got a comment once by a professor that I will get a job because I'm a woman, so I will get a professorship, don't worry, because I'm a woman. What was the result of this comment? That my male colleagues never informed me about some job opportunities because they thought I'm a direct competitor, right? And I think we don't need this competition also with males, right? We are working together, I think, and I mean, male colleagues, I think they are also fathers to daughters, or they have wives, whatever, right? So I think we should collaborate more closely. Or another comment from an older boss, from a former boss, that somehow the boss of another colleague, he allowed her to get a second child very quickly. So I have one child. I'm not sure if this has had an impact, but I mean, there are always some such comment, and sometimes, for instance, if I want to explain something, there is always some colleague that explains it better for me or summarizes it for me. So sometimes I think things happen, and I think at some point perhaps I should have stand up and say, okay, I explained it, or I can explain it by myself, right? So I think I would have been a bit more, let's say, brave. And yes, so I think that's all. Let's
Question. Just to finish, and then we will come to questions. Okay, so Mercini, your story.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sakalides again.
So we'll move on to my next chapter. Yeah, I will go even more back to the university. I will start from the junior high.
Okay.
and say that it starts even earlier. I think when you're at school, at least for me, I've witnessed girls being discouraged by certain comments, like maybe you should go to more another direction, become a lawyer. If you're a good student, you can become a lawyer. You don't go to mathematics, which is a more difficult subject. Yes, it will teach. Yes, it's more. It's easier, or it fits more to girls. And my experiences during my university years, master's degree and PhD are the same, very common experiences. But really, when you're younger, you're so enthusiastic that you don't really notice everything that happens around you. You're eager to learn and go on with your life, and you don't have the time to notice everything that happens. Now, as I move on from the university to companies, the bigger the companies, the more difficult things are for women. I myself have been lucky enough, but it's not usually the case. I have witnessed many rooms filled with many men and just a few women. It's really difficult, not because men are not don't make you always feel welcome. They do their best to make you feel welcome, but you don't hear as much as the different point of view. You are just by yourself, and sometimes even people, when they don't want to, they might like leave you to the side. If you are alone, just with one woman, two women. This has been now my experience moving on in my career, but on the bright side, I do see that even more and more women nowadays are getting into career paths in computing and tech-related jobs. They like it, and the younger they are, the better they do. I see them combining very different skills and being as good, if not better,
at these jobs in computer science. Now, women coming from different fields like economics, they realize later in their lives that they're good in those, they have skills related to data science and learning and AI, and they want to pursue it. They give time to learn more, to have master degrees related to that field, those fields, and they want to progress and move on and get better jobs. They really do want that. And I see it in my everyday life. And what I think we should do is support them, not to lose that when they move on in their personal lives as well. If they want to have families and children, they should have the support and the system that I already heard in Canada is there, but it's difficult to implement. We might have rules or have laws that support it, but in real life, it's difficult to implement it. So we need to remind ourselves and remind people around us that we need to do the best we can to become a supporting system for all women and men who actually want to participate in their families as well and don't have the opportunity to do that. That's it. Me?
Well, thank you, Mercedes. And Maria?
Thank you. I think the story is different from the other woman that told me. And actually, when I was in high school, I want to study chemistry and biology. But my teachers told me I'm mathematics, and so I have something different, something education. And my father encouraged me to start computer science. So my journey in computing, starting from this university of Greece, when I continue my postgraduate studies, business, and then I had the opportunity to receive my fellowship and travel to USA post postdoctoral study. And this journey to USA, I think saved my academic direction. And the last thing, important thing, University of and my journey in academia, because mostly in academia all this year, and I never heard discrimination. But the difficult thing I think is when you start to raise the family. So the difficult thing is how to balance the demands of academia with the responsibility as a mother. Even if you have a very supportive family. I have a supportive family. My husband helped me assist and encourage me the things that I love. And my parents. So what I think is by policies like parental leave and flexible schedules that we have help. I think that we have a different culture about what is important and how we can integrate work with life. And but it's
what's important is that we don't have to penalize those who take those paths, integrate life with this work. And this is my view. It's not different from the other woman, but I think what in need is to encourage women and help them to integrate their life, their responsibilities, professional and their responsibilities in family.
So, to sum up, we haven't had much discrimination. I must say, I must say that I mentioned about my 3 children, but here at the University of Piraeus, I experienced a generation gap between men, because the oldest men were the ones that did not encourage me to do anything. Whereas I must say that I have my male colleagues voted for me 4 times as the head of the department. So knowing that I was just one woman, and they all agreed that I could be the head of the department until I can no more be the head, because I have I have been 4 times, and the Greek law says no more.
But no, that's
No, because
you could do the job.
No, yes, but I'm saying that they did not discriminate. That's what I'm saying.
But probably because you would do the job better than them.
Yes, but they didn't discriminate.
Discriminate if you would do the job that they want to do.
No, they didn't. The previous ones, I was doing the job, and they were discriminating as well. They didn't want me to do the job, although I was doing it. So I say that at least the next generation were could see who could do the job, and they agreed. So I guess that there is some progress, isn't there? Do you find that? Also, I must say that I actually, Marcini said something, and Maria, about the school, that you had people telling you not to do something. Actually, I had as well, and I can tell you about my daughters. My daughters had a lot of that from their professors, from their teachers, because they're all in the STEM, 3 children, 3 girls, and they're all in 3 hours the STEM education, and they were discouraged by schools, although they're excellent students. So we can actually have some questions. Ellen,
yes,
you wanted to say something, some question?
Yes, I have a question, because I think it's something that it's good to discuss, because we discussed about discrimination, but I wanted to also point out another sensitive issue, competitiveness, but in a wrong way. And I wanted to ask my colleagues here if they faced stronger competitiveness by male colleagues in the field. So they had to prove every day that they are good enough or even better than the male colleagues. Because that was one of my issues. Maybe I did not face discrimination, but that was an issue that I really faced, especially in the private sector. When I was working in private companies, male colleagues were very competitive towards me, and I noticed that they were not so much with other male colleagues. So I wanted to ask if you also faced such a problem.
All the time. I was in Lyceum, and one of my male colleagues would come every morning and give me math questions. only to me, and I was doing them. I don't understand why I was doing them. Like afterwards, I thought about it and thinking, my first PhD student was from Egypt, and the first time I gave him back a draft with comments, it's like, wow, you did a good job with this paper. He was surprised that I could write better than him. I had another Egyptian student. Yes, he was very surprised that I could do something. But he was kind of nice about it. He was complimentary. Wow. I had another colleague who invited me, and I was, by then I was very good on paper. He invited me to a proposal that he was leading. I was the only expert in software engineering. They needed a software engineer. I held the industrial research chair. My credentials were pretty damn good. And he commented on the excellence of the team for the project, and he said, we also have Dr. Studio, she's a woman. That was my credential. And talking about what you said, Irini, I wrote an email that night, which I did not send because by then I was smart. I was not sending the emails when I was just filming. I sent it the next morning, which basically said, I'm just too old and I have too much money and not enough time. I'm not going to do that. And I sent him the email and said, I'm done, I'm out. And to his defense, he went to his dean, who was also from Egypt, and they called me at 8:30 in the morning, and he apologized on the phone and said, how do we fix this? And I said, just send an email. And he sent an email to the whole team saying something. I don't even know what they said. Somebody saying something, whatever. And I was back in the team. We did not get the grant. But I was thinking that if I was younger at the time, I wouldn't have said anything. I would have stayed because it was a big team, it was a big project. Just like you said, after tenure, I haven't held back. I have an opinion, and they ask, they don't ask. I share my opinions most of the time, not all of the time. I'm a little bit smarter. And now I'm actually managing the quality evaluation process. We go through an annual review, all faculty members at the university, and I'm the chair of the committee that evaluates everyone. And I take a lot of pleasure in actually managing the conversations. If anything sounds full, I will stop the conversation immediately and I will make the point that I do not know what the point of this was, but it sounded inappropriate and stop doing that. So basically, I think somebody said, I did not notice when I was young, you said, Vasily, that I was not noticing. I did not have time to notice the nonsense. But it's not that you don't have the time to, everybody's stupid when you're younger and things are one and the second one. By the time you have 10 examples of the same thing, you kind of, that's a thing. It's a thing. It's not 10 stupid things. It's one thing. And once you realize that and you are in a position of safety, as you, Irini, said, it's our responsibility to just speak up and train whoever is in our vicinity. Because I am 20 years in this business, and the numbers have not increased much. The microaggressions have not decreased much. So I'm not very happy with the progress that we have made.
So what is our responsibility, Eleni?
Talk, speak up, speak up.
For those that cannot talk?
It doesn't matter. For everyone, you have an opinion. You have earned the right by now. You have gone through enough bullshit. And at this point in time, you're at the table. Open your mouth. If anybody explains anything, just say, I just said that. I'm glad you understood it.
I think we are trained sometimes to be pleasant.
You see, that's the thing. Yeah, it's not very important. It's not important enough because, it's just comfortable that these people do not matter because they're not around for long. Nobody wants to be obnoxious necessarily, except from the person we have mentioned. But really, in the end, some kind of internal coherence is more comfortable. That's all you have in the end. So just open your mouth and say, that's a sense of humor. Thank you for repeating my point.
Yes.
I'm glad you understood it exactly as I said. You don't have to be. So just point out that you're either stupid
This is a good answer. Right? So I think you should be clever in the responses and make fun of it.
If you can, it's better. It goes down easier.
Don't take anything seriously.
You also mentioned the nationality of this.
Yes,
And I think this is important. You bring up another point. We are lucky to be in Europe, in Canada, and I think it's not like that in Asia or Africa or Egypt. I have some experience with colleagues from China, for example. Sometimes they are quite rude. Once we were chairing a conference, and I went to say hello to the co-chair, and when he saw me, he said, "Where's George?" Yes, he didn't say.
Real person now.
He didn't say good morning. So
He fixed the lights. I sent him to fix the lights and the plumbing.
So it is sometimes in these in other countries. Another woman, an Asian woman, reported she was a professor, and she said she was very surprised that I was the head of the department and the conference chair, because in her country she was asked to make coffee for all the professors who were colleagues of hers, and she had to wait for everybody to go out from the lift before she can leave. I think that these are very, very different things. We don't have this kind of things in Greece, and this is good.
I'd like to comment on the speak up, which I agree with. And of course, the technique of using humor and subtle irony is usually more destructive to the other side than any other, than yelling or being serious about anything. But speaking up is not something that everyone can do. And you mentioned the shallowness of some of these comments. I agree, they are, but not every woman, especially young women, can perceive it as such and can deal with it in the same. And especially when you're young. Yes, retrospectively, yes, you are mature enough, you've gone through all of this, so you can recognize that they are not important, but they are very important. And even if you have these implicit biases all the time, they can be destructive enough to push you away from doing what you want to do. So I think it's very important to support, create the networks that you mentioned, and support each other, and provide young women with the encouragement so they can build their self-confidence and be able to deal with such behaviors. But it's not easy, because retrospectively I can say as well that, oh, I should have done that, or should I answer this way, or I should have not cried for one day.
Yes.
After the incident, like dead, but not like.
Well, is there any question from the audience of this panel? Any lessons learned?
Or just comments, because I see some people shaking their heads. Maybe identifying with some of what they're saying, or disagree.
If I can try to sum up what we heard, and there is a question here. A comment or question?
Can you use that?
As a little thing, have you ever been criticized about the way we act in most in a more masculine way, more aggressive? Have you ever been criticized by your colleagues? No.
Not very aggressive.
I mean, do you react more in a more masculine way towards your colleagues, or in a more feminine way? Feminine way means less aggressive. You mentioned.
No, I think the question is, I think the question is clear, and I have seen these two different types of behaviors, right? So women which try to act like men because then they fit, or women which are more female because I don't know why. I think there is no reason to go in either one direction or the other. I think you should act in your own way. I mean, I don't need to act as a man. I think I should act as myself, as Irini, right? So I'm a woman, and I think I should act this way.
You used a few minutes to go to work. Fit.
Yes.
If
yes.
you want to fit.
Yes.
Literature says that if you want to fit,
yes,
you may consider acting like a man.
Yes. Yes. I understand.
That's why
yes.
I asked.
I understand why some behaviors go towards the male, let's say, stereotypical behavior. And I think for me, the lesson was that retrospectively again, right? So I'm kind of reflecting now, I'm too old, I guess. Was like, I don't need to fit. I cannot force myself to behave like a man. I should behave like myself. And people should take me seriously, not because I yell, but because I'm their boss, for instance, in the group. Not everyone understands that. There are, of course, cultural differences, so sometimes I have to be a bit more authoritative, but in general, I think it works. So I don't need to change my behavior too much currently, at this point. But maybe there are different styles, so.
You belong to a male-dominated world. I come from the field of social sciences.
Yes.
Social sciences, women are more than men.
Yes.
Discrimination also exists.
Yes.
But your field, I suspect that it's more resistant change.
No, I'm not saying that. I think on the contrary. I think we are very dynamic. I mean, I think the young generation, I think we are very dynamic as a field. I mean, the technology changes very fast. Also, we deal with social challenges. So I think the new generation of computer scientists is also more socially aware. And I think the new colleagues are also more sensitive to this.
So I meant that men in the field of IT, men in the field of IT, still believe, that's my opinion, still believe that women are less appropriate for that field. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I don't have this.
More women in a department of 20 men.
Yes, but I'm a professional, right? So I belong there. So I don't feel that I don't belong there, and I feel that I'm technically belong there.
There is
My
also
question
there is also
they don't department feel about it.
I well perceived at the moment, but maybe I was just lucky. And I mean, this is my second full professorship, so I think I'm kind of qualified now, kind of, I think. But
well, actually, we are talking that there are different contexts because in what we have reported are male-dominant workplaces, and we actually talk about how men see us. But in fact, in society, there may be women seen us somehow differently also. But we don't have something to say about that. Because, for example, teachers at schools may have been women who said, don't go to STEM, go to the literature. So it's sure that we can't have the whole idea of how it would be in a different place. So I think that everyone here says that they did what they thought they should and they didn't change much.
I think we had No, I just wanted to add that I think that if a woman is experienced and knowledgeable, then she finally gets accepted by the professional environment. And I think that discrimination comes less and less gradually. I don't know if you agree. I mean, it depends on that.
Yes.
If she proves that she has the knowledge and the experience and she can stand in her position, I think that she finally gets accepted.
But that's the issue. But that's the issue. That's the issue. That's exactly the issue. Why do I have to prove anything to anyone? More than
not more than
it is more, because if you get 1 out of 10 being a woman, you look different, and your responsibility is to prove that you did not get in because of quota. It is always the case. The longer you stay in, the longer you work, you are an individual. But when you join an environment and you look different, either you're a woman or you're purple or you're old, you are different and you don't belong by default. Whatever is wrong with you, too young, too fat, too thin, too blonde, not blonde enough, anything that is different, you have to explain why you belong. It's always the case, and I'm assuming it's the case if you have somebody who doesn't fit your style, whatever the style is of the culture, of the social humanities. So this is sort of a fundamental nature. We recognize what is affinity, and we recognize our own, and somebody who's not our own by whatever measure, by default does not belong. Once they become a real individual, then they have a history, they become our own. But once you do not know the person, then you know that they don't belong because they don't look like everybody else. So that's not, but I think the point that both of you made was important, that our field is much more progressive than what I would think is, and again, forgive me, but if you're talking about philosophy, there are many stuffy old men in philosophy. And there are not as many stuffy old men in quantum computing, just because of the fact that quantum computing is what? Somebody make up a year old. So I think our field has good potential, even though the statistics are not very balanced, and the statistics are not balanced for many, many and complex reasons. More so, it has better potential than many other more traditional fields like, let's pick on philosophy. I don't want to pick on anyone else. One bad example is good enough.
It's the nature of the discipline, essentially. I think it's the nature of the discipline that makes our field a bit more progressive, where it's people rather than the fact that men are different for some reason in computer science.
Progressive regarding a gender balance.
No, I mean change.
No,
You say something about change.
No,
more.
I didn't refer to change. I refer to the more balance, more.
No, it's not. It's not. It's definitely not.
Anyway.
Definitely not. And the numbers have not changed to the better. Consider.
Not much.
I mean, worldwide, in academia at higher ranked positions, there must be what, 10% women, 18%, I think, in Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
Joanna? Yes.
I believe in asking for question. If you behave like a person, then the other person, a colleague of you, we don't mention you're a woman or you're a man. So first of all, we have to, let's say, give away or take aside that you're a woman and do your job and appreciate the other part, colleague, etc. That you can do the job. I mean, because do it because you act professionally.
But does that apply to men as well, what you're saying there?
It's the attitude also, how you're going to do it. If you go with the fear that you will be rejected because I'm a woman, then you will do it. This is what I think. It goes that way. We have to think.
The question is correct.
First of all, we have to think and also, there are many rumors, discussions between women. This is worse.
I think that we cannot live our personal lives thinking about what everyone else thinks about us, even if they're women or men. What we can do is do our best. Both men and women have to do our best to be better at our jobs every day. And in relation to being role models as we grow older to younger women or younger men, hopefully, we can lead by example. Like you said, I don't have to answer to everything that doesn't need to be answered just because I have to keep everyone happy. And younger women see that. And if they see someone else doing something that is acceptable, which was not acceptable 5 or 10 years ago, they will do the same thing and follow a role model that is doing a better job at even equality in the workplace. So I think that that's all we can do. We cannot think about it all the time because we do it. I do it. I think many women do it because we think like that. We think many things at once, and maybe many men do it as well. Sorry, guys. We cannot live our lives worrying about everyone else and what they think. We have to do our best to move on.
I agree with you. We can't make everyone happy. So we have to put something back.
I actually want to disagree with you on leave the fact that you're a woman or man aside and be professional. I don't even know what this means. So I'm a Greek woman with a weird accent and a fairly loud voice, and I play it up. You know, I talk about my children. I have a young woman who just had a baby and she brings the baby to work. No, I know that you didn't mean it. I just want to, I don't think you meant the way I heard it, but I think it's important to make the point that you don't have to be very careful about excluding some weird things about our personalities. I tried to fix my accent, actually. It's weird, and in the beginning when I was teaching, people did not understand me. Then it became still weird, but still a little bit less weird.
Accent is not a gender feature.
But everything, if I were to be proper professional, I would have tried more, because the way you teach is, you know, like my students.
I think you wear the way you dress.
The way you dress, because I used to wear I try to wear more Hillary Clinton suits. This doesn't work. So in the end,
For you.
no, I cannot. This thing doesn't work. I cannot move, and I always move like that. So what I want to say is that we have to be respectful of the environment. There are some rules that you cannot violate, but at the same time, it's okay to be as much of yourself as you can and not presume too many rules. Because this way, you just give permission for people to be slightly different. And I do not know what different means, but the more weird people we have in our place, the more inclusive this place has the potential to be. So if we have very well-defined rules of what a professional behavior is, you know, what is business casual? I don't know what business casual is. I looked for it on the web to find pictures of business casual. I didn't go to buy things, like I don't have enough. Exactly, it doesn't work. So yeah, not to overstate the point, just be professional, but bring much of your personality into the place.
I think we have to sum up
Yes.
because we're going to the closing. It was a very interesting.
We'll talk forever.
Yes, it's a very interesting discussion, and actually we heard many views. I keep that I didn't hear very much of discrimination, especially in the younger generations. Just implicit discrimination.
Implicit, but that can be worse actually if it happens constantly. And that's what
It's the underlying factor. Well, it depends. It depends on the environment also. For example, the University of Piraeus was a male dominant university since its birth. So I was the first woman to be a head of the department after 70 years of the institution being there. But now there are others as well. So
You have broken the glass.
So it's a progression. So I think that all women work. You can see that they work hard, and I think that people. My view is that people should get what they deserve, whether they are male, whether they're female. But one thing is, one slight difference is, especially for children, that women really need some support for having children, because this is, as Maria also mentioned, it is something that you need some time to feed the baby. So these things, I think, need to be better a little bit, not to be threatened that you're going to lose your job to be set back for something like that. So so we can go on for the closing. As you are here, let me thank you all, and thank you for organizing. Thank you. As organizers, we have some thank you notes here, and with Marianne, and actually, I'm standing up. We have for the session chairs. Oh, he left. Session chairs. Are the session chairs here? Any? Perhaps not. You make some chairs. And also, Joanna, you were such a chair. All this is voluntary, and we are very, very grateful for whoever has put effort. This is just to acknowledge. Manoli, you have the title of web chair. It's a new title because Manolis is also a postdoctoral researcher. Without Manolis, we cannot do that. It's the man that behind the. Konstantina Pisafiadi is not here, but she has put work as a postdoc section chair. She's pregnant, as I mentioned. We also have for our keynotes. Professor Eleni Strulia. Thank you. And our Irene. We have also for the chair of the chapter, Maria Russo. She may not be a chair, but she is actually of the conference. So without Maria, the conference cannot be held. The three acknowledge my co-chair and ex-student, Maria. I think Professor Tigridis is not here. I can Give it myself. Okay, so thank you all for your presentations, for your participation. It is very important. It was a very, very interesting conference. We had a lot of very nice posters, and there was a fruitful discussion over the place there that we had our lunch and the break. And also, I would like to mention that it was very nice that there were a lot of groups from different places in Greece. So it was a nice gathering, I think, for everybody to meet other people. And so we are very happy that you were here. We're very grateful that we had the conference this year in the University of Wales. And would you like something to add?
I would like to thank you all for your participation, and I'd like to thank you, Professor Maria Firbo, collaborate to organize this event, Maria Russo, our speaker, sponsors, University of Wales Research Center, companies, Oracle, company system. Without them, we are able to organize this event. Okay, thank you.
And the Department of Informatics and the Department of Digital Systems and the school. I'm also the chair of the school, so all these people were very helpful and supportive. So, Maria, do you want to add something?
Yes,
before
so
we close?
the Greek ACM-W chapter would like to also thank you for a successful organization. We have a small.
Oh, thank you very much. And I think another bag.
Another bag, yes. And I think it's time to announce the next
one. Yes.
The next Gender Equality and Computing Summit celebration of ACM-W. Andreas Kondinos is here from the University of Patras. I already revealed the location of next year's conference and the conference chair.
Thank you, Maria. Just very briefly, I want to say that it was really a pleasure, but mostly a privilege to have been able to attend this year's GEC. A lot of the stories that I heard were really inspiring, very touching, some of them. And to all the organizers, especially the ladies that were here in the panel just now, I wish you good health and a long life, because I want my daughter to meet you. Okay. So I don't know what else to say other than it's really inspiring to see so many awesome, talented, amazing, beautiful, smart women moving the field ahead. I think as a society we are moving ahead. We're starting to go past sort of stereotypes and sort of roles assigned to us in the past. I see this a lot with the girls in our university, but also with the boys, and certainly within the younger members of faculty, who are pushing really forward and trying their best really to change society, make it more equitable, and move ahead together rather than one against each other. So with regards to next year's conference, I think Maria kind of ruined it by already revealing where it's going to be. But in case you didn't hear, it's a city that's by the sea. It's called a castle. It's got a Roman theater, Have you guessed it? Already? It's got lots of nice areas to go out at night, particularly for students, but those of us who still feel like we're students can benefit. Things can get a bit crazy. Hopefully you won't end up here. This is the courthouse. But it's a city that's full of color. And by color, I mean color of all kinds. It's got really nice sunsets. It's got amazing infrastructure. The urban landscape is actually really good and always improving. So for those of you that have already spent some time there or have been there perhaps on previous occasions, I heard several of you here are graduates of our university. You'll see a city that's completely transformed over the last few years. We've had the privilege of being able to do a lot of work in improving the quality of life in the city with lots of pedestrianized areas, renovated areas, and good infrastructure for the public. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you next year to the city of Patras and invite as many of you as we can to join us there. And hopefully there's a good chance for those of you who have graduated in Patras to come and visit the city one more time. So thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
So have a photo, the closing photo. Please join us for the closing photo. Okay.